Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. So one of the things I'm learning in this season of my life, and yesterday I was talking to myself about this. I said, I want to live an intentional life. I want to be intentional in everything that I do. Because one thing I've learned is, nothing really happens without you doing something. You can't just sit where you are or not do anything and be expecting that God will do everything for you. So you've got to be intentional. Intentionality is key. For anything to grow, you will have to be intentional about cultivating that thing, about focusing on that thing, about not allowing yourself to be distracted from actually giving your best attention to that thing. Let's take, for instance, your health. You don't just get healthy by accident. You don't just become healthy by accident. You have to be intentional about what you eat. You have to be intentional about getting some exercise done. You have to be intentional about your health. You can't just wait for it to happen. You can't just eat everything and not exercise and just think, oh, I'm just gonna be, quoting the scriptures. I'm gonna live long. I'm not gonna die. You have to be intentional. So whatever you're doing, either it's in your career, you want to become the CEO of that company, you have to be intentional. You have to sit down first, count the cost of what you're trying to do, and see how much it will take for you to be able to get to that thing or to get that thing done, and then apply yourself intentionally pursuing that thing you've set that you want to achieve. The reason why many people don't achieve their dreams and their goals is not necessarily because their dreams and goals are wrong. It's just because they were not intentional enough. They think it's just going to happen by chance. No, you have to do something. I remember my days back in university while I was studying engineering, and we used to study the laws of motion, the Newton's laws of motion. And one of them actually says that a matter or a body will continue in a state of rest or unified motion unless acted upon by an external force. So if you put something on a table and you don't do anything to it, that thing will remain on that table in the same spot for as long as you want it to be there, unless something acts on it. And one of the areas where I want to be intentional is in my walk with God. It takes time to know God. You don't just wake up and say, oh, I want to know God, and you don't plan on investing time into knowing Him. You have to have time of prayer, time of studying the Word of God, times of waiting on Him. You can't just know God by accident. You have to be intentional about building that relationship with God. If I'm not intentional about building my relationship with my wife, guess what? We're going to start having some problems in our marriage. It doesn't just happen by accident. You have to be intentional. You have to first understand, okay, what will it take for me to be where I want to be? If your goal is, okay, I want to pray longer than 5 minutes. Okay, what am I going to do to make sure that I pray longer than 5 minutes? You don't just leave it to chance. So you come up with some action plans and then you follow through on them. You have to hold yourself accountable. It's good to have accountability partner, somebody that is checking on you. But first you have to be accountable to God and accountable to yourself. And part of being accountable to yourself is being intentional about the things you do and the things you don't do. So maybe God has given you some great promises, some prophecies has been released over your life. Your job is to find out, what is my part in this? What must I do? Because there is a part that God needs to do. But guess what? There is a part that I must do to align myself so that God can bring to pass that which He had promised. And that will require that I am intentional about the things that God is asking me to do that will lead to the fulfillment of that promise. So I just want to encourage you. Don't leave anything to chance. Be intentional in your pursuit of God, in your career development, in your financial adventures, whatever you're trying to do. Be intentional. Remember, nothing just happens. Something has to be done for something to happen. So put in the work and trust God to do His part. One thing I learned while I was back in university was I would study as if it all depends on me, but I would pray as if it all depends on God. It's faith with works. The Bible says faith without works is dead. So I will do my part, and then I'm going to trust and believe that God will do his part. Be intentional. I hope this was a blessing to you. If you were blessed, please do share with somebody else. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you're not yet subscribed. And I will see you next time. God bless you.